Yes, team, what is happening? Hopefully, you are doing good. I wanted to do something a little bit different today and essentially give you a sneak peek behind the scenes, behind the curtains, as to some of the stuff in which we get up to inside 23 Lean. Now, one of our four key core pillars of success is education, the other three being customization, support, and accountability. And the fact of the matter is, my mission, my vision, my goal for every single person who comes into my coaching program is such that they can maintain the result way after we're done. Because for me, what is the point in a result in which you don't get to keep? You know, we want to avoid the yo-yoing, the rebound, the in shape, out of shape paradigm and merry-go-round, which so many over 30s are on. And so part of the education piece in which I deliver to my clients is the fact that every single week I will have a private podcast whereby I'll go through 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes of hints, tips, tricks when it comes to mindset, strategy, lifestyle, training, nutrition, sleep and stress management, whatever it may be. And I have recorded the last podcast that I did basically on what is working really well in January for me personally, and therefore they can just plug into their own routines when it comes to just some hints and tricks. And I'm just gonna basically let you have a copy of this recording. So that's what you're about to see right now. Hopefully you find it useful. Let me know if there's any hints, tips, tricks, and implementable strategies in which you're actually gonna execute and take with you on your own journey. Let me know in the comments below, and hopefully you enjoy in a bit.
All right, team. Welcome back to the private podcast. 23 Lean in the building. Let's get cracking. Team, how are we all? Hopefully well. Hopefully had a fantastic week last week in terms of your progress, despite it being absolutely pissing it down with rain and just being cold, wet, dreary and miserable in the UK right now. If you are lucky enough not to be in the UK, then fair play to you, I tell you, because it's just not a nice place to be right now. Anyway, we don't grumble, we don't moan. And in fact, what I've been doing is thinking that, quite recently, and I think for good reason, we've been having a lot of kind of mindset talks, a lot of kind of realignment, recommitment, getting yourself back into the room, just making sure that you're aware of what your goals are and indeed how to get there. Like we talked about in that realignment session, really and truly, you just need two things to succeed in 2025. And number one is, once again, the clarity to know exactly what to do when it comes to your goals. And obviously, I'm part responsible for that. And your ability to execute the plan is now going to be key. And number two is the commitment, the unwavering commitment on your part that you're going to get there, even when, not even if, because life will throw you curveballs and injuries and lapses of motivation and concentration and holidays and issues with work and socials and family. I've had an absolute shit show of a week this past week just due to some family stuff which I cannot be in control of. And it's massively thrown me off my game last week. Or at the very least, I don't do myself enough credit. It could have thrown me off my game. And I believe it did so for probably about half a day. But I basically got back with the non-negotiables, the foundational fours, the things in which I tell you guys to do. And I cannot tell you how much of a kind of like fallback mechanism, like a protective mechanism it had on me this week in a good way. Just to fall back on the basics, which I know make me feel good. And not only me, allow me to turn up at my very best self for those that need me more than ever due to the shit show that was going on with bits and pieces in, like I say, my personal life, like I said, which has got nothing to do with actually me or anything in my control. But anyway, we move. So I guess this episode is going to be about less of the mindset, less of the strategy, less of the kind of like what's going on in between the ears. And by the way, team, I massively appreciate every single one of you that listens to the podcast and goes, you know what, Sharif, I'm really glad this is back up and running. Really glad that, you're talking to, if it feels like you're talking to me. That's a lot of the feedback in which I've got, which is great because this is literally only going out to you. And so if I'm, talking about topics which are relevant to you, which are present, which I'm, feeling like I'm hitting the nail on the head, then obviously, that's fantastic in my ears. So don't be afraid to let me know what you want to hear more of, what you want to see more of. Are you enjoying it? Are you not? Do you want to see, or hear about more nutrition stuff? Is it more the lifestyle stuff? Is it more the sort of mindset stuff? Is it more the practical stuff? Is it more the training stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm very, very open to feedback and criticism and, praise if you think I'm doing a good job, because at the end of the day, this is literally for you and you only. All right. So like I say, because we've been doing a lot of mindset stuff recently, I wanted to just bring it to the practicalities. And at the end or near the end of every single month, what I wanted to do is basically just go over some things, if anything, which have been working well for me. And right now, I am much like, I would say about 90% of you right now. I'm in a calorie deficit, a dieting phase where I'm looking to get leaner, obviously put on a little bit over the course of Christmas. And want to trim down, not for summer or anything like that. It's just I operate at my best and I feel my best when I'm about sort of 10 to 12 pounds lighter than I am right now. And that is the mission and the goal. There's no real timeline, but I'm trying to do the same thing that you guys are doing. All right. So I've had a pretty successful January so far. Started at roughly 194, 195 pounds, which is close to the heaviest I've ever been. And the lowest I've actually seen is like a 187, back up today to a 190 after a Turkish dinner yesterday. But that's just due to the salt and the water retention and what have you. But anyway, I feel like there's about 5 or 6 things which I've been doing differently, or at the very least I've paid more respect to this month, which are really working well for me. So as much as I want to obviously let you know what they are, so you can insert that into your weeks, into your routines. This is more of a mental note to me as well, just to double down on things which are working, because that's my goal when I'm going through check-ins. It's like, okay, we need to obviously plug in the gaps and the holes to what's not going too well right now. And we need to also double down on the very things which are working so we can do more of them. All right. I talked to you guys about almost like a recipe book, like a success recipe book. Like I know when I do certain things, it's either going to be a good day or a shit day, or it's more likely to be. Do you know what I mean? And so you want to think like that as well. So if there's certain things that are going into this ingredient pot, which are actually causing you to have success in any of the foundational 4, be it with your training, be it with your nutrition, be it with your ability to get the steps or the cardio in, or just your sleep and your stress management, then A, I want to know about them, but B, we want to not skim over that. We want to double down on that. And one of the questions which I'm constantly asking, if you do find yourself in a position whereby you're struggling and what have you, is what have you stopped doing? What have you stopped doing? Because a lot of the time, every single one of you have at least for 1 week been in green. You're winning, you're thriving, you're moving forward. We're losing that pound a week. The weights are going up in the gym. You start to see shape across the body. The clothes are feeling better. We're getting more confidence and compliments, right? But then sometimes it's so insignificant what we've actually done to cultivate that success that week that you just skim over it. And it could be something as little as planning. It could be something as little as, do you know what, that week I had my fridge full of protein yogurts. And, I was going for that versus the kind of 3 to 4 p.m. biscuits, whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? So it's more about what am I doing well? What's working right now that I need to double down on versus what's basically broken that needs fixing. That makes sense? So, practical things that have been working for me this month, basically. Let's crack on. So, I've tried to, like I say, give you at least one in different kind of spheres of our foundational 4. But let me basically crack right on. All right. And the first one is being up and at it at 5 or 5:30 pretty much every single day. There was one day in which I missed that, and that was Sunday. But for the most part, every single day, I've been up at 5 to 5:30. And one of the complaints in which I was giving myself or hearing myself say a lot is that there's not enough hours in the day. I'm a one-man band. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. I've got an 8-year-old to run around after, family commitments, blah, 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 blah. And I would just get to the end of the day and be like, fuck, there's just not been enough time in my day. But at the same time, we all have the same 24 hours, not to get too Beyonce on you, but it's more about how am I now spending them versus, can we get some more hours in? However, doing this one thing, waking up at 5 to 5:30, has literally given me almost like an extra half day to get shit done, which has caused me so much less angst and just like a feeling of accomplishment when I've got to bed on that night to be like, do you know what? Look at what I've done. I've done client check-ins, I've scheduled all social media posts for the week, I've done my email content, I've scripted my YouTube content, I've got it out to editor, whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? But oftentimes, even just like waking up at say 7, I feel like I'm already on the back foot. So that's been a game changer for me, an absolute game changer. The other kind of time with this, and by the way, I got this little hack from one of you on a one-to-one call recently. I've downloaded an app, I believe it's free. I can't remember paying for it. It's called Screen Zen, I believe. And it allows you to block certain apps at certain points of the day. And it prompts you to be like, hey, why are you opening this? You can press the unlock button, don't get me wrong. And obviously it gives you a countdown and what have you. It doesn't completely lock your phone or anything crazy. You can basically switch and turn up and down the dials as to how strict you want this thing to be. But it essentially locks the apps which were causing me to dip into them when I shouldn't have been, namely email, WhatsApp, and Instagram. And again, I can very easily justify all three of those things. Well, what if someone sends me an email and can it not wait? Same with WhatsApp. Someone just sent me a message. I better get back to them. Well, can they not wait? Of course they can. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing is that urgent. Same with Instagram. Oh, I'm looking at content as to what to create and, you know, what's on the pulse and what does the market want to see? Yeah, but do you need to be doing that right now? No, you don't. Do you know what I mean? So nailing my time management, starting with an early morning and starting with eliminating distractions has been flipping key. Those two things, okay? The way in which I've managed to get up on time is because I'm treating my bedtime routine with even more respect. And I'm not going to bore you about why sleep's important. We've literally done whole open offices on this. I've given you the science, I've given you the data, but TLDR and Cliff Notes, if you want to get more muscular, leaner, have less cravings, look better, recover better, and have all your hormones functioning as they should, you will be prioritizing sleep. And one of the ways, and this is point 2, in which I've actually been doing this, is I asked for an eye mask for Christmas, and not one of these like flimsy ones, right? This was like a fairly expensive one. I believe it was, well, I don't know. It's a Christmas present, but I think I might have got it on the Black Friday sale. Anyway, the point is you know, it's a good old chunk, right? Like it's not quite £100, but it's near thereabout. And you think for a piece of cloth, that's, you know, that's up there. However, this thing is like silky smooth, but it's also big. It literally blocks my whole face. It's kind of like having a pillow on your face. And this has been a game changer. And I sleep so much better. I wake up feeling ready, good to go. It just blocks out all the light, obviously. And I look pretty ridiculous, but hey, I'm not trying to impress anyone at this stage in the game. So, you know, that has been an absolute game changer for me and has allowed me to have more consistent kind of sleep-wake cycles. So eye mask, waking up at 5 to 5:30, get more shit done, eliminate distractions. Let's fucking go. All right? So team, on to nutrition and what's worked well for me so far. And that is the M&S high protein ready meals. Not only are they high protein, a lot of the time, you know, marketers and supermarkets have cottoned on to high protein, right? And so you see like, oh, high protein, you look at the back and it's like 2 grams and you're thinking, mate, if you just ate the box that came in, it's probably got more protein than what you're marketing, you know? So you do have to be careful. However, with all these meals, it's got above 30 to 35 grams of protein in every single one. I've not seen a meal with under that amount yet. So, you know, you're maximizing muscle protein synthesis for those of you that care about that. Number 2, they're also really high fiber, you know. They're either high in veggies or like cauliflower rice or, you know, beans, and they're flavorful as well. I would say the only downside to them is that if you are not used to that level of sodium and salt, your weight is likely to spike initially. But that's simply because your body is not used to that amount of sodium. If you're consistent with them, then your body's going to regulate that sodium intake just fine, and you're going to be locked in and good to go. Just make sure you're drinking a lot of water as well, okay? But man, in terms of convenience, in terms of, again, ticking the box of high fiber, high protein, you know, the 2 most arguably important macronutrients, they just tick the boxes. And these are low calorie meals as well. It's not like, yeah, but Sharif, there's 600 calories in them. There's really not. You know, 300 to 400 calories tops. You know, absolutely gold. Like, they need to sponsor me. Seriously, I can't say enough good things about M&S. I really can't. Are they expensive? Maybe, maybe not. But for me, you either pay in life with anything, with time or money. One of those things you can get back, and that's money. You can always make money. You cannot make more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. And for you, type A, get shit done sort of people who value their time, I would strongly recommend either looking into a meal prep company service, looking into these ready meals, or just having some plug and play meals which you can bang in, which is just easy. All right? Absolutely gold. I'm sure other supermarkets do something similar, but you know, it's just ticks every box in terms of convenience. Yeah. And then last 2, the other is using a sauna on a fairly regular basis, and also habit stacking that with mindfulness. So I've been slacking when it comes to my headspace, mindfulness, and what have you. It feels really off. It feels really alien. And I know that when I get the feelings off it, it feels a bit sticky and a bit off, and I can't really get into the zone. It's simply because I haven't sort of practiced that enough or more recently. After about 5 to 10 sessions, it feels fucking incredible. Now, I can tell myself that I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do mindfulness. I'm going to do all these other soft skills in and amongst all the other shit I've got to do However, inevitably, it doesn't happen. So I try and habit stack it that when I am in the sauna, I actually try and listen to some mindfulness and get those two things done at the same time. Now, for those of you like, why are you saunaing? Just do a Google search on health benefits of saunaing. I mean, they're absolutely wild, like unbelievable. So in terms of your body's ability to survive a cardiovascular event, aka a heart attack or something like that, saunaing for 30 minutes, I believe, once a week will reduce that risk by something mad like 40%. And the funny thing is, every single time that you get in the sauna above and beyond that once per week, the risks just go down and down and down. You know, like it's very cardio protective, which is wild because, you know, ice baths and jumping in, you know, plunge pools of ice is very popular in social media. But if you actually look at the research behind that, there is very little. However, saunas are pretty damn clear in terms of their health benefits, cardiovascularly for your heart, basically, and just for all health outcomes. And your risk of just dropping dead drastically decreases basically by using a sauna once or twice a week. So, you know, get in a sauna if you can. Most gyms have one, right? And if you can habit stack some mindfulness with that, you're just going to feel like a different person afterwards. And I genuinely do. Which brings me on to my last point. The biggest game changer for me in January so far has been morning cardio. And listen, I'm a weights guy. I really value weight training. It is the very tool which changes and shapes the way that your body looks. It's an absolute game changer. Each and every one of you, whether you're training from home with just your body weight or you're in a fancy gym doing a push-pull leg split, you're all doing some form of resistance training because it's part of the protocol, okay? Like, it is the thing. You know, longevity, health, bones, osteoporosis, the way that your body looks, the way that your body feels in clothes. You're never going to get that without weight training. However, the feeling that you get after a bit of a sweaty cardio session is unmatched. And you need to get that heart rate up. It needs to be uncomfortable. But especially doing it first thing in the morning, like I try and get on the Stairmaster first thing on a Monday. And obviously Monday and Tuesday are like my very, very heavy check-in days. I'm just stuck to the computer for those 2 days. Literally don't move. Make sure you're all good and where you absolutely need to be. I cannot tell you the difference in productivity, energy, like, I know it sounds stupid, like happiness, if I just do cardio first thing in the morning. And the beautiful thing about doing it first thing in the morning is your brain and your body hasn't quite had enough time yet to talk you out of it. You roll out of bed, you press the button on the Nespresso machine. Notice I say Nespresso machine, my main coffee machine is conked out and it's like my world has ended. I mean, trust me, it's just not good. Not good at all. Anyway, first world problems. You know, you do your espresso, I bang in some electrolytes and I get on the Stairmaster. And the other thing I do is I don't go on emails. I don't check my WhatsApp. I don't check my work phone. I don't check Instagram. I'll literally go on Netflix and watch something which has got nothing to do with fitness, just to de-stress my mind. And let me tell you, when I've done 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then I get off that, there's a feeling of like smugness that like, hey, I've started off my day really, really well. And like I say, the endorphins off the back of it are just unmatched. And they last the whole day. It's not like, you know, you get the pump on a shoulder and arm session and they're looking really good. And then essentially it kind of deflates and it goes. Like, this genuinely stays with me the whole day. So I think for me, whether I am trying to gain muscle, bulking, when I'm trying to cut, if I'm trying to maintain body recomposition, whatever it may be, morning cardio, I'm not saying every day, but I'm saying 2 to 3 to 4 times per week. It's going to be a part of my routine, and I highly recommend it being a part of yours. Now, if that is something you want to do, that can obviously affect energy output, which can affect energy input because it can make you hungrier. So you do need to watch out for, number 1, the modality, number 2, the intensity, and number 3, the frequency. So run it by me. But if like I say, I do it genuinely for the mental benefits and not the physical. I don't try and use cardio as a fat burning tool. I let my diet do that. I let my steps do that. Just like I tell you, there's no magic tricks. But man, for the mental clarity and the endorphins after, it's unmatched, absolutely unparalleled. So I highly recommend potentially inserting that into your routine. So those are just some little tidbits, like I say, for me, what's been working well. Hopefully you can take one thing away from this. You don't have to try everything. Maybe you just grab an eye mask. Maybe you do the morning cardio stuff. Maybe you just commit to sauna a couple times a week, or maybe you just get up an hour early, whatever it may be. But I'm committed to letting you know what's working right now, not just obviously looking at the research and what have you, because it's all about real world advice. Anyway, team, I'll love you and leave you. Hopefully you found this episode helpful. I would love some feedback. I really would. It feels much better when I know it's landing well, or if there's stuff in which I know that you are curious about and I can be on the pulse about for you. All right. So I will love you and leave you, team. That's a lie. I was going to say I'm about halfway through check-ins. I'm not. I'm about a third of the way through. So I'm going to have one of these little Newtonic Focus Blend Cognitive Enhancers, caffeine free, and crack back on. All right, team, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you all throughout the week, I'm sure. Let's absolutely crush it and have a fantastic end to January. In a bit.